Welcome to Skydie's Introduction to the Paranormal, Episode 3. Thank you so much for joining me once again on your journey to the paranormal. Just a quick reminder, don't forget to practice meditating. And if you have been following me, I have given you a heads up on why you should practice meditating. Now, you know the different hauntings, the different entities. Remember, this is an introduction, so I am simply giving you the surface of what involves the spiritual paranormal, of which I am talking about, such as the common hauntings and the common entities. Once you get to really know what the spiritual paranormal really is, then you can go further into acquiring more information. Years ago, I had noticed how people were curious about the spirits, among other things, but people were afraid to talk about it, afraid they would be mocked, or even worse, thought of being unstable, if you know what I mean, and I'm sure you do. That being said, is the main reason why I first started teaching about it back in 2018. As time went on, the number of students increased in each class. Many of them had a good idea of what it was about, and so they participated in the class to further their knowledge on it. Others were attending just by curiosity. I started my classes by asking people's knowledge on the spiritual paranormal, and if anyone had any experiences to share with everyone. One of the attendees told us that for her, personally, she had no experience and nothing ever happened around her, but she knew that the spirit world truly existed, as she had a family member who was an exorcist. When I told you in the last podcast, episode 2, that you do not want to mess with the dark forces, I was not kidding around. It truly does exist. That's why I also mentioned in a couple of podcasts, the first one which was the presentation, and the previous one, which was episode 2, to always respect the spirits or the spirit world, because you never know who or what you are dealing with. Practicing or meddling with the spirits is like wandering outside at night, especially in dark places, on unfamiliar grounds, as we say. You never know who you will meet. You could come face to face with a thief, a murderer, any kind of criminal, even a wild animal. Who knows, right? Well, it is the exact same thing on the other side. So be and remain respectful. Now, As you know, when a topic is too long, it is continued in the following podcast or episode. Last time, I talked about entities, of which one of them was about poltergeist. Remember? Poltergeist means a noisy ghost. And I also told you that very often it is related to someone in the house whose energy or emotions are very strong, and that energy blended with the ghostly energy and could make objects move. But there are also other spirits that are able to manifest energy and make objects move without taking from our own energy. In this case, these spirits are very powerful. So beware. I hope you can understand what I am trying to explain to you. Now, at the end of our last podcast, episode 2, I said I would explain the different levels of someone who passed on. Oh, but before I do, I just want to make you understand that, okay, let me explain it this way. The body is like a glove on a hand. The body dies, but your soul lives on. So you take away the glove, which is your body, and so remains your hand, which is your soul. So it is your soul that leaves your body. When you have a spirit coming down to visit you, that spirit chooses to show itself in a human form, giving you the chance to identify it, let's say, well, as one of your own, be it a loved one, a parent, a sibling, and so on. Sometimes the soul will choose to show itself as an orb. Remember I explained to you about orbs in the previous episode? That is why it is important to take a picture so you can enlarge the picture and try to find details into the orb. Remember? See, that's why I was describing the different kinds of entities before explaining the different levels of a soul going from one level to the next one. Okay, so let's start to talk about the levels. Once a person dies, they are, as what I refer to, on level 1, if you will, known as wraith. A wraith is like, the moment spent on leaving your body and going into the other side or the other world, the spirit world. Someone who very, very recently passed on. So that is when your soul remains among the living and will make its way to crossing over, where, by the way, crossing over is also known as the afterlife. But we'll get to that in a few minutes. So after going through the wraith level, the soul reaches the next level, which is earthbound, meaning the spirit or soul is still among us, the living. Very often, when they are or remain earthbound, is either they will be crossing over very soon into the afterlife, or it is because they still don't know that they have passed on. Normally, the latter happens when people die suddenly. For example, a car accident, and the person dies immediately, on impact. The soul does not realize that it has passed on. It was a shock, a trauma. So it takes time to go through this level onto the next one. Okay, so let's take that example, the accident. Your energy, your soul, leaves the body and can hover over the area or the accident and can then see himself or herself and realize at that moment in time what has happened or is happening. When death happens too fast, the soul searches itself and may feel lost and not knowing where to go. And sometimes the soul never realizes, if I may use the term, it never realizes or even refuses to leave. Then that's when they kind of think they are still part of our world, so they remain earthbound. You might say in some cases, unfinished business. It's when there is a sudden death, unexpected. Other examples would be a massive heart attack, or even a suicide, or someone has been shot. Events like those. As opposed to when someone has been sick for a long time and know that they are on borrowed time and so had time to know or accept his or her fate, very unfortunate or sad as it may be. Do you understand? That would also explain why some people are able to see spirits roaming around the house. A woman's spirit washing dishes or doing whatever in the kitchen and so on. I hope you understand what I am trying to explain to you. Those are what we refer to as earthbound. Then the next level would be crossing over. So after the wraith level and then the earthbound level, the soul is ready to go towards the light. Or some of you might refer to it as heaven, or some kind of sanctuary. If you don't cross over, then you remain earthbound, where you find all kinds of souls that are either lost or in the transition of going further, or where dark shadow people are, or even the low level energies lurking, and so on. I think you understand what I'm saying here. But you must know that even after having crossed over, it does not stop them from coming to you when you call them, or just coming to see you and even watch over you. For example, not too long ago, I had my father-in-law that came to see me without me calling or meditating to see him. He just appeared. I have to tell you that was one special moment. He then gave me a message which, to his request, I shared with the rest of the family, and the sight and scene he showed me were absolutely beautiful. Well, I won't go into details, not to take too much of your time, but suffice to say that most of the time their presence can be for a message to one or more people in our surroundings, or could be that they are watching over us, or even just to let us know that they are still around us. Some of them just don't want to leave us. There might be a specific reason for it, or just no reason other than being next to us. Well, we've reached pretty much the end of our show, and I remember saying that if we had time, I was going to talk about the different ways or how to recognize the signs on how to detect a haunting presence around us. I am so sorry, but unfortunately, I guess this topic will have to be for next time in episode 4. And then in episode 4, and again, only if we have time, I could let you know about the tools and or equipment used to contact the spirit world. But only if we have time. Oh, and when that time comes for the equipment, be ready to take down notes. Until then, may I say, have a nice day or sweet dreams. And thanks again for spending time with me. Till next time.